Hi, I'm Cheryl. Have you ever thought that maybe you'd like to do some hand lettering but were just a little too scared to try it yourself? Or maybe you tried it and it didn't come out very well? I'm going to show you a little trick on this card, and we're going to do something called stamp tracing. And this will make your hand lettering a lot easier. So what we need for this card is some Whisper White cardstock, and that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. A piece of Pool Party, and this is 5.5 by 4 1/4. That will cover the whole card front. And then a piece of Whisper White, that's 4 by 4 inches. I'm using my Soft Sky ink, and it is So Very Much stamp set, and that's part of the Celebration. One of the items you can get for free from Stampin' Up. And we're going to do use this thank you stamp. It's a huge wood block stamp. Look at the size of this. I don't have small hands. This is how big it is. And we're also going to use this little bitty flower here from the Oh So Succulent stamp set. And if you've got another little flower or a little something you'd rather use, well, that's fine too. And I'm using my Stampin' Write markers. I've got Melon Mambo, and this is Island Indigo. The main thing is you need to have a marker that has this kind of a tip on it, because you're going to need that for the hand lettering that we're going to do. And then I also have my blender pen, and I decorated the front of the card with a couple pieces of this 3/16 ribbon with a picot edge that just happens to match my Melon Mambo marker that I'll be using too. So we need 2 pieces of that, each one about 5 inches, and our snail adhesive. So let's get started on this. I'm going to have to bring in a piece of scrap paper here. So I'm going to ink my thank you stamp up with my Soft Sky ink. And Soft Sky is a very light color to start out with, but I wanted it even lighter. I want just barely a shadow for me to trace over while I'm doing this. So I'm going to stamp it off, and then let's see, I want it on a diagonal, and there we go. Let that ink transfer. I'll close that up, and there we go. Now see, you can just barely see this. It's just very faint, and that's what I'm going to trace when I do my hand lettering. So I'll get my wider tip. This is the pointy end that has the wide band on the barrel of the pen. And you might want to play with your pen a little bit before you start, because it looks nicer if you can do, like, go from thin to thick to thin, and it just makes it look better, and maybe it'll help you get loosened up a little bit before you start your hand lettering. Okay, so I start here. I'll start with the T on thanks, and up on the tip, and then as I go around, I'm bringing it down, and we'll go back and get that part. I'm just going to patch that up a little bit. I'm going to start. You want to just have it go a little thicker, a little thinner. There we go. See, I'm not a good hand letterer person either, but you see? Look how nice that looks. So I have something to trace. And now we'll do the U part. All right. So there we go. See how easy that is? You could do that with any kind of scripty fine stamp. Just stamp it in a lighter color, a very light color, and just trace over it with your markers. Now we're going to add our little flowers. Since I had my markers out, I decided I was just going to color my stamp with the marker. And yeah, you can do that if you've got ink-based markers. That works just fine. We're going to put 3 of them down this corner. See, I'm just coloring the stamp. Now I could color this in all different colors if I wanted to, but I'm just keeping it in the pink. And there's 2. And 1 more. Alright, now I'm going to keep this marker out. I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm just going to pick a little color up and shade my flowers in with that. I didn't want to just leave them all white in the center. And you don't want to work your paper too much because this is just cardstock. You could use watercolor paper if you want it, but if you don't get too scrubby, then this is fine to do on just regular cardstock. And I'm not doing any particular shading on these. I'm just filling it in. You could get real creative and maybe stamp a flower that needs shading and spend a little more time on this than I'm doing. But for now, this is just fine. Let me get my marker pen scribbled out. Make sure you do that when you're done. Or my blender pen, not a marker pen. You don't want to leave any of that color in your blender pen. Cap these. incidentally, if you have markers, and maybe you know this already, always store your markers flat. I know it's real tempting to put them in something and have them standing up like this, but then all the ink is going to run to one side or the other. So store them flat and your ink will be equally distributed across the entire marker. Okay, now we can start attaching. We'll put this on the front of our card. We use our snail. And I'm going to come down from the top about half an inch. And then it'll have approximately 1/8 of an inch showing on each side here. And next we attach our ribbon. So let me just snip off a bit. We need 2 pieces. Put some snail there. Lay this across the front of my card. And then make sure it's even, and I'll just fold this end under, and that will stick in my snail that I just put on the back. Fold this end under, and then we'll do the same for the piece across the bottom here. So just lay this across the front. Fold this end under. Make sure it's straight. And fold this end under. And we're ready to put this on the card base now. I like to put my snail. I'll put my snail right over my ribbon. That way it's doubly attached. It's attached underneath. And it's also attached, it'll be sandwiched in between our card front and the card base. So make sure that we have the card opening the right way, and we'll just line that up and press it. And our card is finished. So wasn't that fun? So go look through your markers and see what, or not your markers, go look through your stamp sets and see what kind of stamps you've got that you could trace. I mean, you could trace flowers too and do the same thing. So it's another idea for you to think about. So y'all, if you liked my video, and be sure to hit that like button down below. Where is it? It'll be over there. If you want to subscribe, there's a subscribe button there too. If you'd like to shop with me, then you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website. And as always, I'll have the materials that I used today listed down below. So y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.